Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, recently confirmed the ban on the public parade of criminal suspects by operatives of the Nigeria Police Force. This follows an earlier directive by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, prohibiting the practice. Several media outfits, including the NTA, have exclusively reported that the AGF had ordered the police to desist from parading suspects. In a statement on Tuesday, the Force Public Relations Officer, Muyiwa Adejobi, reaffirmed the police chief's commitment to upholding fundamental human rights and aligning with global best practices in policing. Tonight on NTA Tuesday Live, we'll x-ray the significance of this security adjustment in crime management. But first, the biggest story in the land today is the proclamation of a state of emergency in Rivers State. This evening, President Bola Tinubu announced it in a nationwide broadcast. We'll start off taking a close look at this development in Rivers State. And I'll be joined by Jide Ojo, development consultant, author, and public affairs analyst. He'll join us via Zoom. I'll also be in the studio here with Mr. Mike Ejiofor, lawyer and retired director of the DSS. And we'll also be joined by ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, who is the Force Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Police Force. And let's get to talk about the latest development in Rivers State. And I wonder if Jide Ojo is with us via Zoom. Jide, are you there yet? All right. And, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, this latest development, some would say they saw it coming, yet others would say this was shocking, a huge surprise, never expected that this would happen. Did you see this coming?
Well, I didn't see it coming, the declaration of state of emergency, but at the same time, I've been worried how this matter would have ended, because the two parties were unrelenting in their positions, which caused a lot of friction and threat, not even to Rivers State, but to entire national security. So it was quite disturbing when I had the president broadcast, but when I also had the meeting between the president and the service chiefs with the NSA, I knew something serious was coming. So I anticipated that there must have been a lot of deliberation before these decisions were reached, putting into consideration the various precepts and various security concerns, within the country.
Now, some Nigerians would want to wonder about the constitutionality of all of this. And it's not the first time that the state of emergency has been declared. And although some would say at some point in time, former President Jonathan declared the state of emergency in 3 states in the northeast as a result of the insecurity in that place. One that many would remember, which is more comparable to the current Rivers State state of emergency, is the one declared by then President Olusegun Obasanjo. I think it was in 2004, thereabouts, Plateau State, in which the governor and the assembly, the members of the state assembly were suspended an initial period of 6 months. So there's been so many debates about how constitutional this is, and what happens, for instance. People ask the question and say, yes, the president has proclaimed with effect from today, and he has transmitted same to the National Assembly. Now, what happens if the National Assembly does not concur?
Well, there will be a stalemate, but I don't see the present National Assembly not concurring with the president's position. Like you rightly said, the Supreme Court has already decided that in the case of when Goodluck Jonathan tried to do the same thing, based on Supreme Court judgment, the governor was not removed. But in this particular case, like I said earlier, the two parties, the governor and the legislators, the state legislators, were unrelenting and were not ready to shift position. So if the president had asked the governor to continue, the legislators will accuse the president of favoritism and not looking at it. So I think it's a good decision that both parties were asked to go. The state of emergency declared so that they might go back and see if they could reconcile themselves, because this emergency is for 6 months, initial 6 months. Thereafter it could be renewed if they fail to reach a compromise.
Some see this as a huge setback for Rivers, and some might even say the current state of affairs with various groups flexing muscles might not immediately respond to this measure. Probably this would take a little more time for them to back down. Do you think so?
I don't see that. I don't see them backing down. I see a situation where this initial 6 months will be renewed. I don't see them backing down because it's not just Rivers. This is a lesson for our politicians, because I believe that our politicians don't think about Nigeria. They don't think about the country. They think about themselves. This is what is happening in Rivers. It's self-ego and all the self-interest, not thinking of the state. Now, all the parties have, but I know that some people might find, be jubilating over the situation, but that's foolhardiness as far as I'm concerned.
Well, others perhaps are worried that a serious breakdown of law and order would have taken place in Rivers without this. And some also point to the fact that insecurity played a huge role in this declaration. And, of course, economic reasons with the bombing of a major pipeline. That would have placed the country's budget in jeopardy. And, of course, that was meant to be one of the most important export outlets.
Well, I believe that was why the government took that decision. Early Tuesday morning, there were some pipeline vandalism and puncture of the lines. And the government should also not stop at this declaration of state of emergency. There should be complete mobilization of the communities, trying to explain to them what is happening, while at the same time to deploying the military to ensure that oil production is not disrupted. Because, you see, from 700,000 barrels per day, we are approaching 2.2 and possibly to improve on that. So anything that can cause that setback on our economy will be very, very disastrous. So there's need for federal government to explain, invite stakeholders from Rivers in particular, because anything that will affect our oil production in Rivers, it's not going to stop in Rivers alone. The Niger Delta, this war is seen as an international war between some ethnic groups, not just power in Rivers State. Some of them making inflammatory, provocative statements, which is capable of even involving the whole country and not just Rivers State. So it's something that has to be handled carefully.
Well, this is where we bring in ACP Olumuyiwa. Adejobi as we talk about law and order. The people of Rivers State, like all other Nigerians, deserve to live in a society where law and order prevails, with threats by various groups threatening to cause mayhem, one group fighting another group, one ethnic group against another. What does this speak of the general security situation, and how would this development now impact the security of the state?
Well, the Mr. President has spoken, and he has made pronouncements about Rivers State. Our own job is to make sure we have adequate deployment, which of course I'm sure the IGP must have directed various tactical squads to move their men and assets to Rivers State so that there won't be breakdown of one another. Aside from that, we are to work with other security agencies to make sure we protect all these facilities in Rivers State. All I can say for now is that we're trying to study this situation and to make sure that we enhance our intelligence gathering capacity so that we can have more intelligence in this area. I know for sure that security agencies will take charge. There will not be any problem in that area.
Well, it's generally considered that in situations like these, policing suffers in one aspect because now attention is turned to various groups that are threatening security, to life and property, and all that. And so, if for want of a better word, for lesser crimes, security agencies' attention would not be on those, and you find some people would take advantage of that. What do you say to a situation?
That will not happen because we have been proactive enough. Immediately we had the pronouncement, the IGP has issued some directives. Of course, you don't expect me to mention some of them on here, but the fact is, why police institution is used to having multiple task assignments at a time. Apart from our primary duty of protection of lives and property, we do secondary and tertiary duties. So it's not a new thing. It's not the first time we'll be having issues like this. It's not the first time we'll be managing crises like this. Even before the pronouncement, we'll be managing this issue in Rivers State and some other states like that. So it's not a big deal. We know how to handle that. When we get to the bridge, we shall cross the bridge.
I understand Jide will just join us now via Zoom. Jide, are you there? Oh dear. Well, you have just said this is a lesson for Nigerian politicians, that situations like this can arise if those that the people have freely given their mandate to run their affairs fail to do, to carry out their constitutional responsibilities. How so is that for the rest of us?
Well, just like I said earlier, it's a big lesson. Our politicians, almost all of them self-serving. You can look at various parts of the country who have socio-political challenges. And I also use this opportunity to appeal to the youth. Incidentally, we had a security summit today targeted at youths. And the youths are the ready instruments for this violence from the politicians. And my appeal is that they should not allow themselves to be used. Rather, they should work with government to ensure that things move well. For instance, if you have politicians, because all these crises we are having now are geared towards 2027. Everybody is working towards they are virtually forgetting governance now. Everybody is talking about 2027. So if you get politicians who mobilize youths, like I told them in that summit today, I said there's nothing wrong with that. if you decide to be used. But any politician using you, you should also ask the children to come and take the lead. If their children are not in the lead, they are not part of you, tell them you cannot go. They cannot be using other people's children when their children are schooling abroad and enjoying the best of life, and are using other people's children. So we must send this message down to the youths, because they are the instruments that are being used to destabilize the country.
All right. Thank you so much.